Alright guys, Darren from FBA Elite and welcome back to another video. So this is the video that I was hoping to produce a couple of weeks ago before things went sideways. So here we are, I'm back in the office today and these are the tips I want to share with you guys. Now when I was putting this video together, I probably listed 20 to 30 different tips that I wanted to share with you, but what I've done, I've condensed it down to what I believe are the 10 most valuable tips. So hopefully, whether you're a new seller or an existing seller, there is something in this list that you guys will find useful. So the first tip that I'm going to give you, and this applies I think for the first 3 tips, are all focused towards product research, as I know many of you guys do get stuck at that stage as it's quite a tricky area. So the first tip is I want you to focus on product niches you have an interest in. And the reason that I believe that is super important is that many people will look through Amazon trying to find products based on the stats alone. So they'll look at the sales, they'll see how many reviews there are, and then they'll make a decision whether they think that his product is any good. However, they may not have a genuine interest in that niche or that product, so they're not really sure how to improve it. Now the standard action is to go to negative reviews and look for different areas where the products could be improved. However, in my experience, although the negative reviews can be helpful, if you understand a niche really well and you've probably used the products before that you're looking at, you'll have a much better chance of improving that product and offering real perceived value that will help you stand out in the listing. So definitely look at niches you understand. You know, if you maybe are interested in the gym and you want to start selling gym equipment, I'm sure you'll find ways to improve those products that someone that doesn't go to the gym wouldn't be able to find. And the same applies if you've got different pets or maybe you like cooking. Think about the hobbies and interests you have, and if you focus on niches you fully understand, I'm certain you'll come up with products that have higher perceived value than just finding a product based on stats alone. The next thing I want you to do, and this also comes down to being able to improve the product, and that is to find a VSP. Now this is my own term that I've come up with, and this is your visual selling point. So when you see a product in the search results against all of the other products, what is your visual selling points? Now I know many people recommend going through all of the negative reviews, finding out all of the issues other products have. But that won't necessarily give you a visual selling point. It will help reduce the chance that you're going to get negative reviews, and one of them may lead to you having a visual selling point. But I want you to actively think about how you can give your product a visual selling point, so when you see it in the search results next to other listings, how you're going to stand out. The next thing that I want you guys to take a look at is when you do find a product, I want you to focus on the historical sales data. With the way things have gone in 2020, most of the recent sales data isn't reliable for long-term trends. So I definitely want you to check out historical sales data. Now I did a video on this a couple of months ago where I covered the best post-lockdown method for finding product. I'll just show you that video quickly so you guys can find it. You can check it out after this video. So if you go to my YouTube channel and go to the video library, scroll down and there is a video here called Amazon Product Research, the best method post-lockdown. So hopefully you guys will find that useful. I briefly will show you how that works, but I will also link to the full video in the top comment if you want to check it out after this video. So this is how this works very, very quickly. We're on Amazon at the moment. Let me just come out of full screen mode so I can activate Helium 10. We're using the classic wooden chopping boards example. We bring up Helium 10 and bring up X-Ray, the Amazon Product Research tool from Helium 10. And this is the bit you're interested in if you're looking at historical sales data. And you can use things like Google Trends and Camel to see kind of trends in the past, but this gives you the most accurate information in my eyes. So what I do is when I bring up the sales analysis data, I look for products with a high review count, as generally that will suggest these products have been selling for a few years. So you can look back past previous to 2020, because that's what you really want to focus on to see how these products have sold in the past. So this one here has around 2,000 reviews, so we'd like to think that it has been selling for more than a year. And if we go to the all-time view, it should give you sales data. Here we go, all the way back to October 2018. So you can see how it sold through 2018 and 2019. So when you compare sales data in 2020, you get a better idea of whether it's been overinflated, which, as I've mentioned in previous videos, chopping boards at the moment probably are a little bit above the long-term averages because more people are eating from home, so just doing more food preparation in the kitchen. But let's go back to the presentation. So the next thing that I want you to consider, and that is applying for a trademark as soon as you have decided on the brand for your product. Now this is something that my advice has kind of changed over the years. I previously would recommend waiting until you launch your product to see where it's going to be successful. However, I have seen people launch products recently that have subsequently been hijacked, and then they've had very little power to do anything about it. So the last thing you want to do is invest thousands of pounds in a product, get it listed on Amazon, then someone hijacks your listing and you spend weeks trying to get those other sellers kicked off your listing. So apply it for a brand trademark as soon as you can once you've confirmed what your brand name is going to be, and then after a couple of months, once that comes through, you'll be able to apply for brand registry. And then if you do get any hijackers like I did last week, I was able to get the hijacker removed in less than 30 minutes. So definitely look into applying for a trademark, as it will offer you protection that isn't available to other sellers. The next thing that I want you to consider is whether you should apply it for a GTIN exemption or not. Now, this isn't something I was aware of when I first started my FBA business. However, if I was, I probably would have gone down that route. So if you're only planning on selling on Amazon, you're not planning on using it on any other marketplaces, then you may want to consider applying for what's called a GTIN exemption. If you do go down that route and Amazon do allow you to have that, then there is no need for you to purchase a GS1 barcode for your product, which can be quite expensive, especially if you're using official GS1 barcodes. So if that's something of interest to you, make sure you do your own research into GTIN exemption, and hopefully it will be possible with your product. Up next, I want you to research 3PLs. Now, this is a term you'll probably see quite a lot, especially with the changes that Amazon have implemented in recent months, and that stands for third-party logistics. So what I'm doing with my next shipment, instead of shipping it directly to Amazon, I'm actually shipping it to a 3PL. So a third-party storage is where I'm going to keep my product, and then they are going to drip feed my products into Amazon. And again, if there's any issues with Amazon, so for example, if they mess about with delivery dates like they did during lockdown, I can then switch from FBA to FBM and still continue selling my products. Now, if you are a new seller, I would definitely recommend looking into a 3PL, as new products currently have a restriction of 200 units. So if you want to launch a new product on Amazon, you can only send in 200 units as part of your first shipment. Now, the chances are you're ordering much higher quantities than that from your supplier. So maybe you're ordering 500 or 1,000 units. So what you want to do is bring over the remainder of those units to a 3PL. Then as that 200 units that you've got Amazon start to sell through and your restrictions are slowly increased from Amazon, you can then send in replenishment stock and hopefully larger shipments. So definitely look into a 3PL, as I believe it is something that all sellers are going to need going forward. Now, most successful Amazon FBA sellers will be using software for different aspects of their business. I personally use Helium 10, but there's lots of different Amazon software available. So consider what uses you want to fill with that software. I mean, as a bare minimum, you want a sales estimator so you can actually see what the sales are probably going to be like in the niches you're looking into. But there are lots of other uses that the software could be used for. For example, I'll just show you very, very briefly with Helium 10. I don't want to get too hung up on that, as I know many of you have their own software that you prefer to use. But just briefly, for anyone that is new to Helium 10, the main tools that I use are the X-ray sales estimator, which I showed you just a moment ago. I also use Magnet, which is the keyword tool, so you can find all of the keywords I need to optimize my listing. I'll also use Cerebro to do reverse ASIN, so that basically means analyzing other competitors to get keyword ideas from there. And the other tools that I really use from here, I use Scribbles to actually optimize my listing, so it gives you all of the keyword research you've done using Magnet and Cerebro, and then it makes sure as you're creating your listing, you include all of the relevant keywords and key phrases. And then the other ones I use is alerts. So for example, like I say, the hijacker that I had last week, within literally minutes of that hijacker appearing, Helium 10 emailed me to say there was a hijacker on my listing, and I was able to deal with that through brand registry. And I think the other one I use on a frequent basis is the keyword tracker, so I can see how my listings are performing organically in the Amazon search results, so I know that when I'm investing in PPC, whether the results I'm generating are actually improving my organic ranks or not. But that's just very briefly what Helium 10 is. There are lots of different Amazon software available, but if you do want to check Helium 10 out, I'll include a discount code. I'll probably flash one up on the screen and include it in the comment as well. But back to the presentation. And this next one is something you'll probably hear from anyone that's actually been selling on Amazon for any amount of time, and that is, do not become 100% on Amazon. You need to diversify your income. Amazon can be very hit and miss, and sometimes your accounts or products can be suspended. So it's very, very important you do not become 100% reliant on Amazon, as to be honest, you just simply cannot trust them that much for your income. So make sure you diversify your income as much as possible. Now, this next tip is something I've been telling pretty much all of my students recently, and that is when you are going to place your bulk order, before you do that, make sure you have an account with Seller Essential, log in and create a dummy listing for that product. So try and include as many of the keywords and key phrases in the title, description and bullet points. And hopefully, if there are any restrictions on that listing or that product or that category, within a few days, Amazon will contact you to let you know, because the last thing you want to do is order a few thousand units of a product, get them all shipped to the UK, and then find there are restrictions in selling it. And then finally, I'd recommend this again to everyone. Like many of us will bring over a sample, so I'd say take that sample and try out the entire FBA process. Now, what do I mean by that? We'll take that sample, sign up for a Seller Central account, create a shipping plan, send it into Amazon. You're going to create a listing for that as well. Send it to Amazon, maybe run a little PPC campaign, see if you can actually sell that sample. But by experiencing the entire entire FBA process. When you come to place that bulk order, you'll feel much more confident about how it works. When you're sending your supplier a shipping label, you've already done it once before, you'll know how that works. And it just gives you so much more experience of FBA. And someone that has sold one product and gone through the entire FBA process will probably have a higher chance of success than someone that is trying to sell 1,000 units of a product for the very first time. So I hope you guys have found that useful. I think I've got a bonus point at the bottom which I have there, and that is another thing that will help you with your Amazon FBA journey is join the Amazon FBA Elite forums at www.fbaelite.com. It is completely free. We've got over 2,000 members and I'm on there daily trying to reply to as many posts as I can. So I hope you guys have found these tips useful and it helps you with your FBA journey. If you did, I'd really appreciate if you could take a moment, scroll down, hit that like button, and if you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the FBA Elite forums.